Everyone. This is your host Sanjeev Goyal. I'm back again with a segment, and we are going to talk to one of our IIT Delhi alum, Rishi Singh. Rishi is founder of Harness. It's one of the unicorn, and he's working on his second unicorn. Will be soon unicorn. Rishi, welcome to our show.
Hey, thank you, Sanjeev. Thank you for having me here.
So, Rishi, before we go and talk about deeper and complex topics, let's talk a little bit about your IIT days.
Yeah, yeah,
Can you share any story or anything you would like to share with our audience?
yeah. I think the IIT is a wonderful experience. I think it's been a while. I'm the 99 batch. Went to the IIT Delhi in the comp science department. When I joined there, it was it's a really, what do you say, like um, it's really like the great experience, but at the same time it can be a bit scary kind of experience. When you think about the IIT, the overall acceptance rate is probably the less than 1%, and so you can imagine that most of the students who are coming there, they are probably some of the top notch, like the top talent in the country. And you always run into some of those scenarios where you might have been topper at your school, probably the best guy at your school, but then when you look at the kind of talent around you who have come from the different corner of the countries, you'll be amazed to see. And so there was just so much to learn, so much to exchange, that helps you. I mean, it's just scary, but at the same time, it's an amazing environment where you get to learn so much, and it will help you the chart the course for your life, actually.
Yeah, in fact, the way I explain about IIT to some people is, see, IIT is like, I don't know if you have read a book called First Among Equals
Yeah,
by
yeah.
Sidney Sheldon. So it's almost like that experience, but I'll tell you something really funny. I was in
Hmm.
Davos attending a panel by Economist magazine. And after the talk, I start talking to the moderator, who is a big editor of Economist magazine. It's a global organization. And I just said, "Hey, I'm from IIT." And he says, "You guys run the world." I was like, "Awesome."
It,
I
it is, it
have
is.
him on the
Yeah,
video, by the way. Then I say, "You should repeat it." I'll share the video with you.
yeah, yeah, it is. And actually, I'll tell you one
It
story.
was such
Back,
a proud moment, man.
yeah, it is. It's a very, very proud moment. And I'll tell you one story. Happened, I think, sometime very early days in my ID. I think I was in a second year, and I think that's when Sabir Bhatia, had sold Hotmail to Microsoft, right?
Microsoft.
I don't know, I was too young to understand, like, what was going on, what's the big deal about it. But, if you look at the IIT engineers, especially the guys who are in the third year and the fourth year, they were they just couldn't stop talking about it. Like, what's going on? Like, here's the guy who founded, who went to the United States, founded a company, ran the company for the 4 years, and now he was able to sell it for the $400 million. This is the kind of things that you get to learn. Like, I come from the rural background, actually. I don't have any business background. I had absolutely no clue about this entire entrepreneurship, but this was the environment in the IIT where, you hear so much about it, you learn from them. You have this the concept like entrepreneurship, like there are the potential that you can found your own company and you can be very, very successful. Those are the things that you get to learn and you get inspired by it, actually.
Yeah, it's fascinating. And Rishi, I was there. Actually, we were there a couple of months ago, right? No, just a month ago, right? In
Yeah.
December.
Yeah.
And they put me on the Shark Tank event there.
Hmm.
I was blown away with the spirit of entrepreneurship.
Yeah.
It has amplified. It hasn't gone down. It has gone up. It's just fantastic to see what IITians are doing, and it's just a great, great time. And three of us got Padma Bhushan. Three,
Yay.
three IITians, not one, not two, three.
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah. There was a time when
yeah.
IITians used to dominate the Indian civil services.
Yeah.
I think and right now the Indians are dominating, like the most of the global
Which is
tech companies.
great, great, fantastic. So let's change the topic a little bit.
Mhm.
You are you co-founded Harness. Now
Mhm.
you're working on new startup and which is around testing and QA space. And if you really look at it in last 6 months, our world has completely changed.
Yep.
Everybody's talking like Mark Zuckerberg was talking like last month. He says mid-level engineers will be replaced with the AI. So I'm just wondering what will happen to all the testing? Your own industry where you are starting the company. I mean, you just started the company, I guess.
Yeah. So, the landscape is changing very, very fast. There
Mhm,
is absolutely no doubt about it. If you look at the software testing itself, that has evolved in the last 20 years. But like what was happening last 6 months, it's very much changing. Um, so I believe that like next few years, like at least like next 10 years or maybe even longer, we are going through this transition where,
mhm,
you still have this old legacy kind of applications, which is doing the job, which is working with the customers. They're serving the users and customers, and they're trying to bring this human and AI, the collaboration, before AI becomes a self-sufficient and potentially can just take over and do like the most of the things in an autonomous manner.
mhm.
So, and I think this is where the testing becomes super important. If you look at like the AI platform today, you ask a question, there is always an answer. It's just that there is no guarantee that that answer is
Hallucination. We
exactly.
have a wonderful word for that, man.
And especially, I am on the side of the enterprise software applications where the accuracy is super important. And I
Mhm,
think this is where the software testing has become super important,
mhm.
especially in the age of AI. So because of the AI, the pace of innovation has gone extremely high. There is a like far more number of, amount of the code that is churning in the enterprise world. They're building the new application every day. They can afford to make the changes in the application much more frequently than what they were doing before. And but this is where the testing becomes super important, that there should not be anything holding them back. So my new company, this BaseRock AI, is super focused about the software quality, and it's building the platform which can help this modern, the AI native applications become successful and not cause any kind of regression in the production environment because no one wants to be put on the spot.
So, Rishi, going back a little bit, you did engineering, you came to America, you worked for several companies. I
Mhm.
was looking at your LinkedIn profile. How, what happened? All of a sudden, you decided to become an entrepreneur.
Yeah. No, this is really a great question. So I'll tell you this. If you talk to any ITN, I think they always have a dream somewhere in their heart that they want to found a company. They want to become an entrepreneur one fine day. It's always there. I think, it's just that, it might be, hiding somewhere because of the lack of opportunity or whatever. So it was there. I was working for Apple, building an internal application called DevOps. I think, it was somewhere around like 2010, 12 kind of time frame. The DevOps was still pretty new. This, production deployment was a, huge task. If you remember, like if you recall, there used to be a production release back then. It was a big event, and it
We
was
used to have a release manager.
yeah, there used to be the release manager. He used to order pizza, on Friday evening, and the entire team is sitting in the office and they are
Yeah.
doing the production release.
Nobody
So,
can go home.
and then you could go home. So it was such a stressful moment for most of the engineering leaders that what will
Sure.
happen, if something fails, then they have to roll back, and is the rollback is going to complete, are we going home on Friday or it's going to be a Saturday morning? I think that is the kind of challenge that we used to run. So we ended up building some internal application within Apple. It becomes super popular. Apple is a massive environment, having thousands of applications, and almost all of them were
Yeah,
struggling with the same.
iCloud is huge.
So, so that was the idea. But then, it all came from the fact that, I, as a technical lead, I used to struggle with this production deployment. I was looking for some of the vendors at Apple that, hey, why don't you solve this problem? But no one solved it. And so we ended up building internally. But then I saw that this is something not just within Apple, this is the kind of solution that is needed at every enterprises. And I think this is where, my entrepreneurship journey started. I think, Jyoti Bansal, he was a good friend of mine. He's, the classmates from IIT Delhi. We went to the same, the comp science department back then. He was at App Dynamics, and so we joined hand. I brought him. Let's try to raise the capital. Let's try to build a company. But then he got super interested, and the rest of the history. The harness has been very, very successful.
Very
We have
successful. Yeah. So, so can I say that while working, you saw a unmet business need and you realize that the potential of something what you're doing at Apple is much larger. And that's how you said, hey, maybe a good idea to start a company. So really for our audience who are listening to it, what I wanted to say it is there are tremendous opportunities all over. You just need to look for it. Can I say that?
absolutely, absolutely, and I think I would 100% agree, and I would double down that on the fact that it requires really your passion for spotting the gap, no matter where you work, what area that you're working on, no matter what type
Solving
of
that business
primary
problem, basically.
technology, it's really there is always an opportunity, and if you're really passionate about it, you can find that gap and you can build a company in that area.
So let's talk about this last 2, 3 months. And I can't tell you, Rishi, is just, I feel like kid in a candy store. I attended CES a few weeks ago.
Mhm.
I was in the front row seat for the Jensen's keynote. He's
Yeah,
the new rock star
yes.
of our generation, which is fascinating to see that the house was full of people were queued up 3 hours in advance. It was just phenomenal scene.
Mhm.
And he comes on a stage and he brings this small, tiny device and he says, oh, this is the future of AI. Now, every single person will have this personal AI computer attached to their devices. I'm sure you're aware about it.
Sure.
So, what do you really see? What is really happening? I mean, I'm a little baffled with the approach because to me, AI is something I use like ChatGPT or Anthropic or Google or any of those products, right?
You're right. Right.
What about the hardware? I mean, I'm still not able to understand it. Can you share a little bit about your thoughts? I know you're not an expert of it, but what do you think about it?
Yeah. So, you know, as you rightly said, if you look at the last 6 months, last 1 year, there is so much that has changed, right? So what is happening is, on one hand, there are the newer things that are coming up, but these newer things are accelerating the innovation for the coming months and coming year. And so it's a kind of like, what do you call it? Like the geometric progression. So the pace of innovation is going, much higher, every coming months and years, right? So on one hand, there is the acceleration at the hardware front. I think chips are getting much faster, and then I'm sure like, NVIDIA, our rock star, Jensen is, leading that front and, he's doing his job. But on the other hand, especially because AI has become so much commoditized, there are so many open source, there are so many so many developer all around the world, so many companies who are collaborating, who are learning from each other, and they're adding bits by bit. This entire model is getting far more efficient and more comprehensive, right? They're getting like far more intelligent, and I think this is where we see the future that eventually this model will be so much accurate and so efficient that it will start coming on those devices. Eventually, it will be connected to whatever the backend that is necessary and should be able to help us improve the life as a consumer. You're absolutely right. Like when you look at whenever I see 5 years down the line, 10 years down the line, probably like everyone is going to have their own assistant. If you're going to gym just by yourself versus when you're having a trainer in your gym, like, your experience is very different. And that is the kind of life that we are going to expect in every area, like whether it's education, healthcare. We have a trainer, we have the assistant, we have the tutor all the time, helping us, get things done much faster, or more efficient way.
Hold your thought. That's a very interesting idea. I never thought a personal trainer can be replaced with the AI trainer. That is, that's a very cool idea for a startup, I believe, because it's a huge challenge. Once is finding the right personal trainer, number one. Number
Mhm.
two is very intrusive because you don't want to tell him what you ate yesterday, but your
Yeah.
Apple Watch knows, my Aura
Yeah.
Ring knows. So
Mhm.
if there is a AI agent or
Mhm.
AI trainer
Yeah.
24/7 available to me because he can like he or she, I don't know. What will be he or she? What will be the gender of this agent, man?
You know, and I
That's
think
great.
this is the beauty that, there are the AI models, there are the agents that are going to be very intelligent, very smart. But on the other hand, these agents are going to be hyper personalized. So, not just intelligent, but it's really, all up to you. Like, for example, we all have a different way of learning things. um, you know, and can you imagine having a tutor who can customize the lesson based on your learning pattern?
Yeah.
Uh, and I think that is the kind of future that we are looking. So as a consumer, I find it like very, very exciting, where the AI is heading towards. Even as a creator, I find it very, very exciting. Because whether you are into the creative business, creating the art or the music or even the scientific discoveries, with the help of the AI agent, you can, the pace of, these research are going to be extremely high. Like, if you remember, like, we just saw the engineering leaders from the Google DeepMind, receive the Nobel Prize in chemistry. Just couldn't think about it, like, somebody from the tech industry receiving the Nobel Prize in
Yeah, it's hard to
chemistry.
believe.
That's a very, very hard to believe, but this
Yeah.
is where the world is heading towards, because AI has brought so much of a different. It has learned so much. So not only it can automate and help you do things, but it can even start leading, on the research front, which means that there are the more things, at our, to us, and we can, utilize that to improve our life even further.
So I have a question for you. And
Mhm.
I am a student of AI, I should say that. Even after writing two books on AI, it just baffles me some very fundamental things. So I understand Gen AI. I don't get agent. I'm confused with that. Can you share your definition? What is the difference between Gen AI and agentic AI? Because there are a lot of conversation around that. We start saying agent, 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 and I'm really not clear at what point Gen I become an agent
Yeah, yeah.
or
So
something else. Am I missing something?
no, 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 it's not. I mean, there is not like industry definition as such. I think that everyone has to come up with a different definition. But at the broad level, the GenAI is something like the large language model, that OpenAI came up with the GPT 3.5, for there is an Anthropic, the Sonnet 3.5. And these models are trained with a lot of data, it's capable of giving you the answer and doing things. But in the reality, the getting the job is going to be far more complex than retrieving a knowledge, no matter how much trained it is, like, from a large language models. Imagine that, if there is an agent, let's say if you have a human agent, who is doing the travel reservation on your behalf. So then the task involved, in reservation is going to be far more complex than just receiving the knowledge. And so, I have to go to the Expedia website, I have to explore, I have to look at the different dates, I have to see all the available flights there. Based on the available flights, I'll have to look at my calendar and make sure, those are aligned with my calendar. I have to make a payment, and so there is a constant back and forth where I could leverage the reasoning and the knowledge from the large language model, but I would also utilize some of the tools at my hand. And so it's really like, this whole flow that has to go through. And I think this is where like this agentic AI workflow come into the play, where the multiple agents, which have been trained to do a different kind of job that can work, that can collaborate together in the shared the memory space and get the complex work done. Something similar to like what we do at the BaseRock AI or some of the leading AI companies.
So, at what point agent become autonomous?
At what point? I think once you have this workflow set up with right tools, which covers the kind of task that these agents are, um, capable of doing things. Once they're given instruction, then they can start working autonomously.
Interesting. Yeah, it's really fascinating. I mean, so I'll give you another interesting incident or example is so I was in World Economic Forum last week. I was telling
Sure.
you about it, and I got to meet Dario, Anthropic CEO, just briefly,
Yeah.
seconds only. He was at Wall Street Journal presenting, and he made such a bold statement. And I don't remember exactly his word, but I will try to do the justice because I don't want people to say that what I'm saying is correct entirely. But what I understood is that we are we are almost at a point, maybe in next 4 or 5 years, where the whole human civilization have to rethink what is our purpose.
Mhm.
And that was very, of course, it's a bold statement, and I'm not going to lie to you. I am thinking about it for last few months is what will we do if agents can do all that for us? And now, just to bolt onto that, NVIDIA is really pushing physical AI now, which I
Mhm.
believe is really, really wonderful. And it's long, in my opinion, it was we were waiting for something like this for a very long time when it comes to physical AI because farming is a big problem. We know that we are putting so much pesticide that problem can be reduced dramatically if we have the right equipment because that's the reason we are just spraying the hell and spray and pray kind of situation, right? So
Mhm.
there are a lot of interesting problems we can solve with physical AI. But what do you see? I mean, do you see what I'm saying? Like, and are we that close to this future?
No, I am on a bit different side, actually.
Great, great.
I
That's why I'm
believe
asking this
that,
question.
yeah, yeah. I believe that any kind of technological advancement brings a new set of opportunities,
Hmm.
something that you don't know, and you can just cannot think ahead of time. Now, AI is one of those, advanced, one of those revolution that has absolutely no ceiling. Like, it's really the artificial intelligence. It is going on the pattern of the human. How much intelligence can it reach? It can become as smart as human. It's going to probably, exceed the overall intelligence and do things. But I'll give you that, whenever that happens, I think it's bound to create a new set of opportunity that we don't even know about it. Now, I know I'll give you a small analogy, like, something, it might not be exactly the same, but let's say Bank of America, if you go like, 30 years ago or 40 years ago, the way they were operating, like they had so many branches, there were so many, accountants, they were maintaining the ledger, they're maintaining books. Now, if you compare the amount of automation that they have, the amount of efficiency that the Bank of America has added, in the last 30 to 40 years, would be probably a million times more than like where they used to be. But does it mean that Bank of America is employing less number of people? The reality is that's not true. The Bank of America is employing like probably more than 50,000 people just in their IT department. So what exactly happened? And it is like the Jevons paradox that when things become more efficient, it will automatically, forces you to, bring the new consumption pattern. And so if you look at like Bank of America customers, like what they could expect 30 years or 40 years ago versus what they expect now, it's very different.
True.
If you
Right.
were a customer, Bank of America customer, if you would have just gone to their branches and if you're attended immediately, you would be happy. You would have gone. Versus today, you just can't expect their online site to be down even for a second. I don't want to go to the branch. I would like to just do a wire transfer to India or anywhere in the world with a single click button. So, it's a different pattern that could not be foreseen probably 40 years ago. But, here we are, this is what happened. And that ended up creating the new set of opportunities. And that brings a lot of people to work there. So I am in a on an optimistic side of things. Of course, whatever the advancement that is happening, that could look scary, because we are always trying to project that on the things that we can see right now. There are a lot of things that we cannot see, and those are yet to be seen.
Yeah, just like you, I'm really optimist, and I do believe there will be tremendous opportunities for us to do things because this AI will free us to do things which we are not able to attend to. And there's one area I definitely believe is healthcare.
Yep.
I mean, that's like open wide space in my opinion. Like, imagine the drug discovery happening using AI. Imagine how they do the modeling of the protein, how they do even the basic clinical trial. So much can be done, right? So much good and bad, but a lot of synthetic data can be generated, which is almost realistic, which was the huge challenge earlier because we were building the synthetic data based on certain rules. So then you don't get that kind of results you want. So I'm not looking from that perspective, but I was thinking more from the perspective of course, reskilling will be required, but what kind of jobs will be there? What kind of opportunities will be there? I'm just thinking, what do you see as a new opportunity? And another thing, Rishi, is we're not talking about 10, 20, 30 years, man. Everybody, nobody, I talked to at least six people who are like the top leader like Dario. Nobody is ready to even talk anything beyond 5 years. This is, we have no freaking idea. Even Dario is saying, I have no idea. I mean, half of the answer was, I have no idea.
Yeah, yeah,
So
yeah,
it just baffles me. Like, you have no idea. Rishi has no idea. I have no idea what's going on, man.
yeah. Let's sit and enjoy. I think all we can say is that hey, we are lucky. We are blessed that
Of
we
course,
are
we are
seeing so much
blessed.
of a change in our lifetime.
True. But really, what should we share with our next generation? We have a phenomenal students in IITs, and a lot of our alumni are doing a fantastic job. What can we advise them? What would you like to advise them? So how they at least start thinking about it, start putting it in their business plan, start putting in the skill set, working on that skill set, what they should be doing today.
Yeah. So I think so. First of all, the AI is going to do a lot of job, but the maintaining the AI, continue to do the research on the AI. There are going to be the plenty of job. There are going to be so many, and it still requires a lot of
Humans.
the good, sound fundamentals. And I'm pretty sure, like, many of our students or the next generation folks, they still have to learn the fundamentals. You got a calculator, that doesn't mean, you don't know addition or you don't know the basic math. You still have to learn to do those things. But then there are going to be the different domain. And, the domain is where you have the more number of tools, at your exposure, you utilize those tools and you can take your creativity, your expertise to the next level. And like you were saying, there are so many scientists, either in the biochemistry or maybe the material science. They spend hours, months, like they spend many, many years before they discover, like, the new material,
Yeah.
right? Now, can you imagine like the pace of innovation that will go so high with the help of the AI? But that doesn't take away the domain expertise that you have built on the material science. That will still be there. So I think the way I would present it is that sure, like there are many repetitive, many those tasks which won't be there, and for that matter, you would have a system, you would have some of the tools that can get it thing done. But this is where your creativity comes in, your real real innovation, like where you look at the next thing and that you build on top of it, and that will always be there, no matter like when we do it.
I mean, I am optimistic, but at the same time, I wanted to really, I would like to start thinking what I will be doing because 5 years is not too far. 5 years, like literally next corner. So, and I, every single day, Rishi, I feel like, and I'm not kidding, man, I feel like I'm getting irrelevant. And I will say I'm in like top 1% people who have access to people like you, Dario, all of these people. And I feel like I'm getting irrelevant because I don't know what to learn, where to start. So it's a very interesting place. And if somebody is in, I'm not sure, some small town of like even the city I'm from, Meerut,
Mhm.
I don't know what should I advise the kids. What should they be studying in the school? They can't study open AI chat GPT and use their tools to draw paintings and draw like Suno, make songs on that. That's not the life, right?
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, I think any kid, I think, I would always advise just go and study, learn the fundamentals. And then, we all have to be adaptable. And so as the opportunity presents, it might not be in exact same form what we can see today, but then, we have to mold ourselves, we have to embrace these newer technologies to our advantage and just build our expertise on top of it. But that will happen, when you're ready for it. That's something, you can't start planning 10 years, ahead of time. The reality is like, as you can see, there are a lot of unknown things. Like, you and I, in spite of being at the forefront where we are aware of this many of technologies, and if we don't know what is going to happen in next 10 years, like the school kids are not going to know it either, and we cannot prepare it. So I think the best thing is that, just have prepare ourselves with the solid fundamentals and be ready to adapt whatever it comes our way.
Awesome. Rishi, that brings to the end of our segment. Thank you so much. I can continue to talk to you for hours, but we both know it is a very difficult problem to solve, and I'm really excited. So, do you have any parting message for the audience?
Hey, thank you so much for having me here, Sanjeev. I think it was a great conversation. I think the AI is very, very important discovery of our lifetime, and whatever that I shared in the end, I have exactly the same message. There are a lot of things that are unknown to us. There are the things which are disruptive in nature, and it's very natural for all of us to be scared. But I would advise everyone to be optimistic, be adaptable, and at the end of the day, I think it's going to be all good. That is my hope, and that's what I would like to pass it to everyone.
Thank you so much, Rishi. I can't thank you enough for your time. And for
Thank you.
audience, you've heard it. We have plenty of opportunities. Just keep looking. Just the way he found an opportunity to build a unicorn, and now he's working on second unicorn. Thank you so much, Rishi.
Thank you, Sanjeev. Thank you so much.